My name is Adele Oosthuizen and I'm the E3 specialist at FAT Training. I'm also a senior lecturer at the University of Johannesburg. In this clip, I will cover some theoretical aspects of the value chain that are often overlooked by students. The aim of the value chain is to analyze the key activities involved in delivering a product or service that adds value to the customer. These activities can either be classified as primary activities or support activities. Primary activities are those that can directly be traced to the product or service that a customer buys. The support activities, on the other hand, cannot be directly traced to the product or service, but is necessary for the primary activities to function in a way that adds value to the end user. Both the support and the primary activities need to be done in such a way that the customer is prepared to pay a premium for the product or service that exceeds the cost. This value represents the margin. The margin is a function of the revenue or selling price from the product or service, and it represents this outside line, the outside arrow of the value chain. The cost is represented through the inside arrow of the value chain. Companies will always aim to improve their margins. In other words, either increasing the selling price or reducing the cost, and in such a way, the margins will be increased. The value chain model was developed by Michael Porter to analyze the internal environment in which a company operates. To date, you have encountered two of Michael Porter's other models. The 5 forces model, which can be used as part of the environmental analysis when conducting a corporate appraisal to assess the attractiveness of an industry. The generic strategies model, which argues that in broad terms, companies can either follow a cost leadership or a differentiation strategy. The generic strategy model was one of the first models that was developed by Porter, and although it has its fair share of criticism, it is useful in enhancing the application of both the 5 forces and the value chain models. Used with the 5 forces model, the generic strategy model provides guidance on how a company can use its chosen strategy to improve its competitiveness within an industry and or reduce the threats in the external environment. The generic strategy model could similarly be used on the value chain to understand how a company can improve its profitability. As stated previously, a company can in broad terms either follow a cost leadership or a differentiation strategy. A cost leader is that company that has the ability to produce their product or service at the lowest cost. Such companies always aim to do things cheaper. In other words, they try to perform an activity at the lowest possible cost. They therefore try to reduce this line that represents the total costs of the value chain. When a cost leader invests in technology or innovation, the main objective will be to improve efficiency or save costs. Companies that follow a cost leadership or cost-focused strategy will sell their products at a price similar to their competitors, but the competitive advantage stems from their ability to produce at a lower cost. And this competitive advantage is represented by the red portion of the diagram. As a result, these companies can over the long term outperform rivals should they enter a price war. Within the value system, cost leaders will also partner with other companies that follow a cost-focused strategy. This will ensure that the value chain overall deliver on the specific value proposition of the customer. Let's look at no-frills airlines such as Kulula, Fly Safair or Mango to explain how the value chain will be applied to companies that follow a cost-focused strategy. The approach that these airlines take is to firstly understand what it is that their customer buy. In this case, it's the cheapest and quickest way to get from, say, Johannesburg to Cape Town. The value chain analysis is then conducted with this value proposition in mind. The first step in conducting a value chain analysis is to identify what the primary and support activities are involved in operating flights from Johannesburg to Cape Town. You would then analyze the cost of each of these activities and obtain an understanding of how each activity adds value to offering the cheapest and easiest way to get to Cape Town. The company would then, from this analysis, identify all non-value adding activities and try and eliminate them from their activity base, such as serving food on flights. Airlines such as Kulula or Mango do not offer meals included in their plane tickets anymore. Passengers can now buy snacks should they wish to do so. Selling food has now become an extra source of income, and it is no longer a cost. The final step in conducting the value chain analysis is to understand how activities that are performed add value to offering the cheapest and fastest way to get to Cape Town. For example, Kulula has realized that a large portion of their cost relates to paying for parking space at airports. They therefore focus on quick turnaround in getting passengers off the aeroplane, loading cargo, and getting the new passengers on board ready for takeoff. Should a plane be delayed for whatever reason, not only are the passengers upset, but your costs increase very quickly due to parking costs and penalties because of flights taking off out of schedule. This has resulted in no-frill airlines having this process working like a well-oiled machine. Innovation has also resulted in online bookings, check-ins, and baggage check-ins. These have all reduced the amount of ground staff required by airlines and dramatically decreasing costs. Occupancy on a plane is a critical success factor for airlines, as the majority of flight costs are fixed. A flight that is half full is not profitable, where a fully booked flight becomes highly profitable. Developments in AI has allowed for airlines to allow for dynamic pricing strategies, whereby the computer system automatically increases or decreases flight tickets based on the demand. No-frill airlines have also partnered with companies such as budget car rental companies or hotel groups to ensure the value system that is offered to the end user supplies a full range of no-frills services. Right. A company that follows a differentiation or focused differentiation strategy aims to achieve a unique value proposition. In other words, they aim to do things better or more unique than their competitors. And in doing things better or more unique, customers should be willing to pay a premium for these products or services. It is important to note that the customers should perceive the unique features as adding additional value. If not, they will not be prepared to pay a premium. To summarize, a company that follows a differentiation strategy would have higher costs because of the unique value proposition that they offer, but in return, customers would be prepared to pay that premium. The competitive advantage stems from the fact that they have increased margins because of the premium price that the customer is willing to pay. The value chain also highlights the problem with a stuck-in-the-middle strategy. This is where a company simultaneously tries to do things differently, which then costs more money. If you do things differently, it would cost more money. But the customers are only prepared to pay a specific price for the product. And that price would be, say, similar to what competitors are offering. What then happens is that the margins are very small if you try and follow both strategies simultaneously. In the end, the margins are shrunk to such a place that it puts strain on the profitability of an organization. As an example of how a differentiator will use the value chain, I will consider Apple. Value chain analysis always starts with the value proposition. Why do customers buy Apple products? According to market research, customers buy these products because it makes them feel special being associated with the Apple brand. Customers also say, we buy Apple because it is for creators by creators. When we consider their mission statement, namely, that at Apple we make things better by making better things, and we want to look good while doing so. Through this, you can see that in this we make things better points to the innovation by making better things, the quality of the product, and we want to look good while doing so. That speaks to the design, the image, the experience that customers have with the brand and with the products, and the status that these products provide. It is clear from what the customer said about why they buy Apple products that it is more than just buying a quality product, but they buy an image and they buy an experience, and they are willing to pay a huge premium for it. Apple's processes and activities, therefore, are focused around fulfilling this value proposition. When analyzing the primary and support activities, the company will focus on how each of the activities that they perform can be improved and made better and more unique to support the brand and its image. More money will be spent on innovation, quality assurance, packaging, and the in-store experience. But this is returned through premium pricing. Although efficiency is important for all companies, the aim for differentiators is never to save costs. When removing non-value-added activities, differentiators such as Apple will never compromise on their value proposition in an attempt to save costs. I will now explain how you should approach a question on the value chain during a test or an exam. Exam questions typically require of you to analyze the company's activities using the value chain, and secondly, it could ask you to explain how each activity enhances the company's value proposition, or they may require you to explain how technology or digital strategies, for example, could be used to enhance the company's value proposition. Okay, so you will generally take the following steps. So the first one, for all questions, it's important that you identify the generic strategy or the value proposition of the organization. You have to understand what it is that the customers buy or why they buy from you. Is it because of the fact that you're able to deliver the product or the service at a lower cost, or is it because of the unique value or the unique features that your product or service has? From there, you would then identify all the activities that are mentioned in the case study, and you group each of those activities into the appropriate primary and secondary activities. To do this, you have to know what the primary and secondary activities are and which type of activities would be classified under each one of them. Okay, then to answer the second part, the explanation of how value is added. You need to consider how the organization either currently is making things either better or cheaper to improve the value that it delivers to its customer. Or in the case of the technology, you need to say, how could a company use different types of technology to either make things better for differentiators or cheaper for cost leaders? It is important that you take care in your recommendations that whatever you recommend is in line with the organization's generic strategy. For example, you will not, for a differentiator, recommend cost-saving activities that diminishes the value proposition of the organization. Okay, this is all from my side on the value chain. I hope that this has helped to shed light on the application of the tool.